What's up guys, welcome back to the next part of the hack and slash tutorial series. In this video we're going to work on the aerial combat. So if we launch the enemy out for our aerial combat, we also working on that advanced hit reaction system that I did in the last series, but this time it's a bit more improved. Instead of the enemy snapping into the death or the get up animation, the enemy will kind of blend in a little bit. It's hard to tell. You can see it doesn't just snap in. As you saw earlier, the enemy will die in the air, and if it does, just place normal death animation. Nothing too crazy. In the past, when we tried killing, if we killed the enemy in the air, the enemy would just fall through the ground. And so here, the enemy no longer falls through the ground. And yeah, everything seems to be working. If you want the project files, head over to our Patreon, join me there. Without further ado, let's get started. So welcome back. In the last video we worked on the launching system. So if our character moves backwards and hit the left mouse button or light attack input, the character will launch in the air. Upon impact on enemies, it'll also launch them up, but there's a slight issue. If I jump, everything seems to look normal. If I launch enemies, everything seems to look normal, but if I just attack on the ground, the character will sometimes think it's falling, as you just saw there. And so there's a bit of a bug here, and we're going to fix that before we head on to the topic of this video. So one of our player character, and in the reset state event, so in our main event graph, instead of setting it to falling, we're going to set it to walking. And so we're going to find all references anywhere that might set it to falling. We want to change that to walking instead. So let's open up our enemies, because I'm pretty sure we did the same for enemies. So in the reset state, we set to walking, and so we did in our enemy. So now we shouldn't have that issue. If we launch enemies into the air, we should still fall, which is probably not as immediate as the others. So if I attack, no more weird on landed animations being played, so we're good there. So we can jump right into our aerial combat. And so first things first, we want to check whether or not we actually launched an enemy. If we launched an enemy, then we can perform our aerial attacks. So right here in launch attack, at the end here we're going to make a variable and call it p launch. And so if the player did launch into the air, then we can perform aerial combat, and if you didn't, then we don't. So in the attack event here, we're going to do a branch, and we're also going to make another function. So in the can attack, if we are in the air, then when this is probably going to pass and make this whole return value false. And so what we want to check is if we have launched and if we can attack in the air. So to do that, we're going to make another function called can attack air, or can aerial attack. Either way works. We're just going to return a boolean like all the others. Make this a pure function, and this one be return value, and make an and boolean, because we're going to check two things. First things we're going to check is whether or not we launched. That's the most important one. But another thing that I want to check is whether or not the player can still attack. So if the player plays the entire aerial combat sequence, I want the player to no longer be able to attack in the air. So we're going to make another variable called b can attack in air. Can attack air, and we're just going to plug that in. And so let's make another, let's head over to our event graph here, and we're going to plug this function in. And then we have the saved. Then we have our, where's our saved light attack? So it should be in the attack, light attack, and then save light attack. So everything here should be normal. There's nothing to change there. So here, this is where we're going to actually handle the aerial combat. We're going to make another function similar to our perform light attack. Most of it is going to be the same, but we're going to have to make some modifications. So let's duplicate this and call it perform air light attack. Change some things. I'm gonna pull this out here for now and make another array of animation montages. Call it air combat or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna call it light attack air montages. It's gonna be of type animmontage, and it's going to be an array. Now we can replace all of this. Now light attack index, I think it's fine to keep it here. What we can do though is either clear it before we start playing it, but for now I think it'll be fine. So let's replace all the light attack montages variables with our new variable. That can stay the same. These two can stay the same. Alright, so remove the buffer. Here we can change this as well. And so yeah. Now the other thing I want to add is make sure that the character's in the flying, or the movement mode is still in the flying, so the character doesn't fall. So we're gonna set movement mode, and we're gonna set it to flying. And so let's see if air attack. That could be a bit of an issue though. What I am going to do though is going to check in here. Once we do launch the enemy, I want to clear the attack index. So set light attack index, just so that since our air attack is still using this index, if we clear it when we launch into air, our aerial combat will start at the beginning. And so if we perform regular light attacks and then we launch character into the air, then we want to clear it so our aerial combat starts at the beginning, regardless of what light attack we left off of. So now let's add some animations and let's go from there. There might be some things we need to tweak. Animations, sword animations. Actually, it should be in this one. Attacks, light attacks, air, rage, attacks. Not it. It's our rage attack. Yes, sir. So let's head over to the other great sword attack. There it is, air attack combo normal. And so we're gonna make a animation montage for all of these. Just do them one by one, just so that I know which one's which. AM underscore one. This one we're gonna also make an anim montage. Combo 2. Last one. Now make sure root motion is enabled to all of them. If not, you can also use force root lock. Either one works as long as the character does not move while playing the animation. Some people like disables it, and because you disable it while the character's in the air, the character can still move, and we don't want that. So the root motion will help disable them input movement without code. It's just how it works. We save everything. And before we add the anim notifies, I want to just add the animations to the array first. So right here, we'll do air combo 1, combo 2, and 3. Now let's add the anim notifies. It's not a whole lot, we need just a couple. So let's pull up another animation, just so we got some reference of what anim notifies we have. And we can decide what we need and what we don't. So we don't need this, we will need the trail, so let's copy the trail over. So right around here, swings it, boom. So that should be right. Okay, let's probably make it less right there. Weapon collision, definitely. Right around here. We're gonna need rotation target. Let's copy that. Paste that right before the attack, so right around here. We also need the save light attack, but for now, actually let's just do it. Just bring it over. We won't need it heavy yet. Once we implement aerial slam attacks, we will need it. But for now, let's just keep it right there. Let me open up my other animation, see where it ends off. So right around there, yeah. So right around here is when we can save, and then I'm gonna make this right around here. So I'm gonna drop this down to like 0.8, right? And then make this blend out like 0.3. Change the blend out to the quadratic. Change the blend in 0.1. And then the last one we're gonna need for now is the reset state. In the air, if you want to implement aerial dodges, you can do so, but just make sure you add that save dodge attack. And so we're gonna paste that, and then right around here, if the character is falling, then he'll reset. Now here's the other thing. Let's head over to our character real quick. Let's close our enemy for now. Inside our perform air attack, so perform air light attack at the end here. So before we set it, reset the light attack index. We also want to set this to false. So we should not be able to aerial attack after we complete the entire sequence. But by default, the can air attack should be true. Now another thing is, inside our event graph, we're going to need to do something here. So if we do make a branch, and we're gonna make a branch, and we're gonna check our movement mode. So get our character movement is current movement mode, or get movement mode. Yeah, so get movement mode, and what we're gonna do is check if we are falling or flying. So if we are equal to falling, or equal to flying. Alright, so if we're equal to falling or flying, so or, they want to reset our state when we land instead of while we're in the air. But what we do want to do is set our reset our character movement mode. So we're gonna set it to walking. That way, if our character's on the ground, we don't need to set the movement mode. It'll be weird to do that. So instead, we're gonna check whether or not if we are falling or flying. If we are, we want to set the movement mode to walking, so the character falls, and then we can continue with the rest. Now on landed, when we land, our character should no longer be in the falling state, or the falling or flying. So what we're gonna do is make another boolean, and it's gonna be a boolean, and it's gonna be on land reset. This one should be a boolean, should be a single, and then we're gonna set this to true. So what this will do is when we land, we will reset it on land. So we don't have to reset the state every time we land. So if we double jump, we don't want to reset, only if we need to. So this can play as normal, reset double jump, but if we need to reset on land, then we want to reset state. Reset state after we clear the variable. So once we clear the variable, we reset our state. So now if we attack in the air or do whatever in the air, the character state will not reset until it lands onto the ground. So this actually should not be connected to here. So we just pretty much just make us fall, and then when we land, that's when we call the rest of the reset state. So that should be working. And what we do need to do though is add the can air attack here. Set can air attack, but we can do that in the live attack. So hold on. Actually, let's just put it at the end now. Not sure if we're gonna need this somewhere else, but can air attack, we're gonna set it true again. That's the default value. And so now if we test this, we should be able to play to our second animation, not to the third. That's because our state has not been resetted. But let's just see if it works. There is not a, hold on, I'm getting a bit of error. Okay, not getting errors. Okay, I was probably imagining it. But we need to add the save light attack to the launching animations, which I don't think I did, but let me double check. Yes, I did not. So let's add it. Let's paste. So right around here, maybe after the bumper collision, around 50. Let's see. Let's check my event here. So let's play it while debug. Oh, that's why we never call that function. Hold on. So light attack. Let's call that function, and then let's plug in the get light attack index. There we go. Now it should be working. There we go. So it works. it works, but the character starts to float down a little bit, and now we're in the flying mode again. So a couple things we need to work on. Let me check one thing real quick. Let's see, hold on, let me check something very quickly. Okay, our says called. Okay, so now one thing we need to check is if we can attack. So here on the regular ground can attack, so just a normal can attack function, we want to check if we launched. Because if we launch, we don't even want to check whether or not we can attack in the ground, because by that time we're already in the air. So we're going to make a not boolean here. And so if we did not launch into the air, we are not falling. We should also check if we are not flying. So let's make another pin here and check the movement mode. Not flying. It's flying. Yep, so that's also a variable. So is flying, not. We should not be flying. We should always be on the ground when we perform a ground attack. So let's give that a go right now. That should help fix that weird issue where I'm trying to click my mouse button, but it's not saving that input. So let's try that again. Okay, there you go. So now it's working a lot better. Now my state was resetted. Or was it? The state was not resetted. Let's go back to the event graph and see what's going on. We set it true if we are falling or flying. Okay, something's not going right. Falling, flying. Okay. Now what we're gonna do here is we also need to set the movement mode to walking. Movement mode to walking. Okay, now that should fix it now. Okay, yeah, that does fix it, but another thing is we need to check this if we want to clear our launch, because once we land, we shouldn't be launching anymore. So actually we can do that right here. So right before we actually reset the state, we want to reset the launch, because if we landed, we're no longer in the air. So this is a guarantee that we will no longer be in the air. So we're going to do here, this is going to be comment. Now let's give that a shot. So now we should not have that weird issue. Okay, now what is going on? Hold your horses. What's going on? Let's check our save light attack. Hold on. Okay, so we're trying to play, but we're not getting a desired. Actually, we are trying to play this. But why? If it's false, starting. Oh, right here. So let's return. So if we are not moving if we're not moving backwards, then we should also return nothing. That's probably why. Let's give it a shot. We landed. Yep, we can perform as normal. We can also launch in the air. Okay, now another thing we need to do is let's expand that launch. Decrease that a little bit. Maybe like 70. Then pull this out. It's just way too fast. Like I just launch in the air and then I start attacking. Okay, now second animation is failing. That's normal because we have even added our anim notifies. That's what we're gonna do now. So let's open up this in another window so it makes it easier to edit it. Let's copy this and then let's paste that in. Yep, paste that here, right around here. Open collision, copy. New track, paste that in, turn around here, paste, around there, copy, paste, save light attack, see, right around here, and then we're also going to drop this back to like 0.9, make this like 0.3, make this a quadratic blend out. This can be 1, and then we need a reset state. Now, another thing we want to do is do the same thing with our third attack. Now our light attack is going to be a lot shorter. In my last series I made it pretty long, like I think it was like a 5-hit air combo. The reason why I'm making it shorter is because once we implement rage mode, I want my rage mode to have a longer combo for the aerial, so that way it encourages players to actually use it. Like in my other series, I'm pretty sure I just like sped up the attacks and whatnot, and I felt like it wasn't really as beneficial. So this way I feel like if you're getting like extra combos, be beneficial to actually use the rage mode. So that's what I'm doing here. Now let's finish this up. Let's give it a quick test and tweak anything that needs to be tweaked before. Now actually in the third attack, we don't want to add the save light attack. That's because players should not be able to even attack after the last attack. So last thing we need is just a reset state. Like I was saying, let's finish this up, give it a quick test. Hopefully we don't need to tweak any more than we have. 0.3, quadratic, and 1. Now let's see, let's give this a roll. Hold on, why is this knockback? It should just be normal. Let's just call it middle. Same thing, copy, paste, and paste. Now let's save everything. Now I don't think it's playing the third attack. 2 and 3. Okay, so the other thing is that the character's kind of floating out. So I want to try something. Another game developer showed me this, and it's available in UE 5. I'm not sure if in any older versions, but there's something called disable root motion. I know I enabled root motion earlier, but I'm not sure how it would affect this. So let me check. Let me test here. I'm still floating up for some reason. Well, let me just copy this and paste it all to my other ones. Let's see if I still float up. Paste. And paste. Yeah, so I don't float up anymore, but I'm pretty sure I can still move. Yeah, so that's another issue. So this is actually working. The disable motion is working, but the issue is the character still moves. So what I want to do here is in the movement input, what I'm going to do is check whether or not we are flying. If we're flying, we don't want to do anything. If we are even attacking, actually if we are attacking, then we still want to have the input so we can get like our directional traces and whatnot. So what we do want is to check whether or not is flying. So if we are not flying, so not boolean, we should be able to move. That's a pretty easy fix. So let's check it. Yep, so we won't be able to move until we finish attacking. Once we do, now character still obviously isn't playing the air hit reactions, but that's what we're gonna do now. So our character aerial combat is working perfectly. There's no issues so far. What I want to test later, once we have like hit reactions, player feedback from the enemy, I want to test if we can like combo from our light attacks into a launch and so on and so forth. Let's just see how it works. So let's open up our enemies and see what's up. Inside our get hit reaction. So what we're actually going to do here is, regardless of what... Actually, we're just going to make a branch here. I was going to say that some hit reactions, we want to place specific animations. I was going to say we could just like return one single animation, but I realized that some of our hit reactions, we want special animations for it. So let's not do that. So we're making an OR boolean here. And we're going to check two things: if we are falling and if we are flying. So we can just delete one of these. Just plug this one in here as well. Now this one's going to be running off the false pin, and everything else is going to be running off the true pin. Make this. Although most of the so we're gonna make a switch here. Switch. Most of the hit reactions while in the air is gonna be a single animation, so it's not too much of an issue. But more of the like knockdown, knockbacks gonna have like special animation to that. It's gonna require a bit more work. So here we can just return the launch on the default, right, middle, and launch. We're gonna have the launch animation. So let's do that. Oh, now let's give this a try. Now hold on. We set the movement mode to flying here. So what we're gonna do is also set it to flying when we get the animation. I know we shouldn't be doing it here, but if we don't want to do additional checks outside of this function, then we have to do it here. It's no other choice. Now let's open this up in our dummy AI and see if we have a reset state. I'm pretty sure we do because the enemy does fall, so it doesn't really make sense for it to not, but be safe. Yep, so it does have a reset state. So now enemy should play its reactions. Or not. Something is not right. Hold on, we're getting an error here. Or not, okay. Weird. Odd. Very. Oh, middle and launch needs this same notify or same animation. Just these two, the knockback and knockdown, we're going to work on in a future video, but for now, just get this down. There you go. So he does play it. Now one of my animations are not having the same. So this one's middle. Knockback. Yep, so we need to change that to middle as well. And this one should also be middle. Yeah. Nice. So now let's give this a shot. Now we should have no issues. The enemy does push back while playing this animation, so I think that's going to be a bit of an issue here. So what we're going to do is we're going to check. We're going to do a select. Actually, we're going to do a select. Just select here. And pick A, which is 25, only if our character is on the ground. So is falling or is walking. So is falling and is flying. Is not true. So it should be a not boolean. Let's copy and paste this. And in boolean. So if it's true, we push back. If it's not, then we don't. Yeah, so everything seems to be functional for now. That character does look a bit weird. Oh, he died, did he? Interesting. He just fell through the world, which is very odd, but it works. Yeah, so we just fell through the world. Maybe that's due to the collisions. Well, that's alright. It works. If you want, you can modify the death collisions. So let's do that if you want to. Let's see where's the collision happening on that. Let's organize this a little bit. See, death. So where's death? Death. Perform death. So no collision. Collision physics only. Ba-da-ba-da. What we could do is just set it to ragdoll, maybe. Set collision response all channels. Actually, we can set collision response to channel just for the capsule. We don't need the mesh. We're gonna set it to block world static and world dynamic. So block world static and world dynamic. So it shouldn't be falling through the world, the floors now, since we're having it block it. But it should still allow the player to just phase right through it. The player can clip through the mesh and whatnot. see. Let's give this a roll. Now, as you can see, the player is kind of moving down a little bit when he attacks. So what we're going to do is have the enemy match the... That did not work. Let's not disable it, but let's instead set collision response to channel. And it's going to be a pawn class. And we're to ignore. Now let's see if that works. So now the character should not fall through. Yeah, so that works. But it's still drawing collisions, which is bad. Okay, but he's dead. Okay, let me check if it works in the air. Now let's test this in the air. Should be working. Yeah, so it works, but the only issue is that they're still detecting damage, which is bad. So let's see. Let's set collision enabled to query, no physics collision, no query collision, physics only. Now let's see, that should not allow us to hit the enemy anymore. Yeah, so the enemy is not taking any more damage. Enemy is also not being able to be targeted, which is good. Check the air. Oh, that one just fell right through. Physics only, pro physics, no physics collision. Probe. Contact data. Let's check the last one. Query and probe. We're just gonna have to experiment with all of these now. There's really no other way to actually tell what does what. I know if you're experienced with the collision system, you can get this to work. Typically, I just set it to ragdoll, so it would still interact with the environment, but it will not read collisions. But let's just see. Query only. Try query only and no physical collision. I'm not sure what that'll do. Only one way to tell. So he's still taking damage. Not good. Physics only is the only one that makes a lot 100% sense. Let me check this object type of our floor. It should be default. What's the type though? Static mesh. What other types are there? Hold on. Whoops. Well, visibility, camera, physics body, vehicle destructible. Those two should be the most common. We should block those. And then pawn, we should ignore. Hold on. Let's just try disabling it. Oh, that's for the mesh. Hold on. Can I plug it in for the mesh? Well, everything should be plugged into the capsule component. Let's do the same with the mesh as well. I feel like maybe the mesh needs to do the same. So instead of disable, because I'm having a feeling that the collision capsule is still like colliding with the walls, but then I mean the floors, but then the mesh is like just floats through it. So let's try this. This should work in theory. So let's test it. Yeah, so there you go. But he still reads collisions, which is bad. So we can set collision enabled to physics only. So we should not be able to get collision with the we should not be able to get hit by our collision draws. So let's give that a roll. But he floats right through it. It's so weird. Query would cause it to... What happens if we set this earlier? So let's set this first, and then let's just do the rest after. Like that. Set this first. If things don't work, we can just set it to ragdoll, and then it will just do its thing upon death. So it just floats right through. There's really no reason it would, but it just does. So let's see, what we're gonna check is set over to our player character and open up our collision. So let's see, damage, drop a collision. Do we cast here? Did not cast. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna actually cast, see if it's actually alive. If it is alive, we damage it. If not, we do nothing. So we're gonna do a cast to base enemy, BB base enemy. We're gonna do a pure cast here because all our enemies should be, all our damageable actors should be enemies. If it's not, I'd recommend using the regular cast or an interface function. What we're gonna choose is dead. I think that's the function or the variable. Let's see. Set or get state. Let's just get state. Yep. So we get state should not equal death. Let's pull all those nodes down. Right around there. So yeah, so that's the best we can do for now. It's real, that's like the most basic alternative we can do if we can't figure out the collision for this. I'll need to check my other projects. I know I've done it before, but this seems to be quite challenging and difficult to do. So let's organize this a little bit and let's give it one quick test. Should be working now. So I'll still compile here. Let's disable all of this real quick. It's kind of look a bit weird. Not sure which is connected to what. So this one's connected to these. We only need to connect it once so we don't get like same function called to set the same variables twice. Doesn't make any sense. Let's pull this in. And there you go. Let's give that a test now. We should not have any more issues with that death. It's not equal to death. It's not equal to death, and we should apply damage. Get state. These are not even working. Hold on, let's pop open the debugger. So we are actually hitting it, funny enough, but we are not doing anything after that. Very interesting. Hold on. Let's check the enemy. Dummy 1. I don't think that's right. Dummy. Let me delete one of the dummies. So it makes this testing thing much more easier. It's not even applying damage. Let me disable this. Let me just plug this directly in. Now if I do, it's gonna take damage. Or not. It doesn't even do anything either. So something is really wrong. Even the dummy isn't reacting to anything. My collisions are being drawn, so for duration. Yeah, so we are hitting the enemy without a doubt. It is being called, damage is being applied, no questions asked. It's just this is no longer being called. So if we F9 on this. Very interesting and weird. Let me close the engine and reopen it and let's see if that issue still persists. So I'll reboot the engine and let's see if it still has that issue. And it still does. Interesting, so something's very wrong. Let me try removing that cast or a pure cast. That might be the issue, but I've never ran into an issue with it before. Let me delete all of this. So the code should be normal, no issues, no nothing. It's the same exact thing before I screwed with it. And still nothing. Let's open up our enemy. Let's see. Everything is plugged in. So plugged in. Line of execution. Everything seems to be working, yeah. It's very odd that it's not working though. Oh, let's see. Timeline, nothing is wrong. But something is wrong apparently. So let's pause the tick real quick. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spam the apply damage. I know it's bad. Self. And 1. Yeah, so this is being called. And the death is being called. Which is right. But everything else is not working. We're applying the damage. Hold on, did we even plug it in? That's why. Never mind, I found the issue. Damaged actor, there you go. That's the reason why. Okay, so I found the reason why it's not working. Now it should work. It's because we had that damaged actor note that we didn't plug in. Now let's get back to what we were. We had a pure cast. VP base enemy, make that a pure cast. Make sure that we are not dead. So get state. Check not equal enum. Make sure it's not dead. Make a branch, and if you're not dead, we can take the damage. Now let's go over, yeah. There you go. Now that should work. Hopefully, yes. So it works now. Now if he dies, does he clip through anything? No, and he does not react. Good. Okay. Let's turn this off. Save everything. Let's play it back in the main level real quick. Let's test this out with the launch. Yeah, so he does play the animation in the air and then he lands on the ground. Yeah, that's all works. That works with me. Alright, so last thing we need to do is the character kind of slightly gets pushed upwards, or no. The player starts to fall down a little bit when he's performing the air combo. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing this, we're going to make a branch. So let's make a branch. I'm going to plug this through here. And we can delete the select spell and plug this in back to 25. And let's pull this out pretty far out. We're going to need a bit of space. Let's pull this up. Let's pull this out. Okay, that should be good if we are not flying, not falling. Okay, whatever, that should be fine. If we are not falling or flying, then we should do the buffer. But if we are, we want to set the character's location. So set actor location. And we do want to do a sweep, just so we don't clip through things. And then let's pull this one down. Actually, we can pull this one up. Either way, yeah. Let's just keep it like this. Okay, there you go. Now damage causer. We're gonna get an actual location of the damage causer. So let's make another reroute node here. Let's pull it out and get actual location. And here we're gonna make a vector. So let's split this. Make vector. We're actually gonna copy this, paste this out. For the enemies location, we're going to keep the X and Y the same. We only want to change the Z just so it matches the players. Alright, much better. Sure, that's fine. Let's make this reroute node right around here. Awesome. So let's give this a go. The player enemy should just snap to the player Z location. Yep. Now what we do probably want is maybe make it lower a little bit, so we're gonna make a Z offset. So minus some sort of float. Call it. Maybe we could just set a flat value. Make it 10. Just to where the camera doesn't go all weird. Yeah, it's pretty good. And the player can still hit it. Maybe drop it down to 25. So instead of buffering it to 25, we should just, yeah, that's even better. Let's play around with those values. So now the player will never miss his aerial attacks. And if the enemy dies, enemy dies. Our turret system still doesn't work if the enemy's dead, so everything seems to be working. And one thing I want to do is try testing it and see how it feels when we try to attack and launch. Now it still feels kind of slow in a way, the attacks for the player. What I want to do is try to probably speed it up a little bit. 0.1, 2, 1.1, 1.1, and we're going to do a launch here. So launch animation. Let's pull this out to like 65. Alright, so it's working. Now before we end this video, I kind of want to just get the other hit reactions down so we don't have to come back later and figure it all out. I'm going to do the knockback because just the knockback for now, because in the next episode we're going to work on the crasher. So let's head over to the get hit reaction on the knockback. We're going to return. And we're going to promote it to a variable and call it HR air knockback. Compile. Now let's find our knockback animation. Animations should be in Frank. Hit reactions. Knockback. Okay, yeah. So we're going to create this, and then we're going to call it am underscore enemy air knockback. So in the air knockback, we're going to actually loop it right around 0.55. We're going to loop it right around here. So we're going to make a new montage section, and then we're going to loop it. I call it loop. So we're going to adjust this a little bit just so it looks more like it's actually looping instead of like kind of snapping. Actually, do we even need the loop? So let's actually delete this real quick. Let's make this 0.6, 0.25, 0.3, 35. Yeah, I think 0.3 is the best. What we're gonna do is we're actually just gonna loop it. We don't actually need the other section. So this is gonna be 0.15. We're gonna give it same blend out, normal blend out, and we're gonna plug this in here. What we're gonna do is the second we get hit by a knockback, we want to set our movement mode to flying. So set it to flying. And in this case, let's see, we set the Z velocity, the Z height, so in flying. So another thing we want to do is when we hit the enemy, instead of like setting the Z value to match the player, we're just going to call the buffer. So we're going to add another node here, and we're going to check contains. So we're going to grab our damage type, and we're going to check contains item array, and we're going to promote this array to a variable. So it's going to be a variable called damage type exempt So any damage type enum that we put in here will be unincluded with the whatever. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add knockback down and knockback. Check that. There we go. And then let's make a remount node here. Make it nice and tidy. Nice. Contains. So, and it should not contain any of these. So make a not boolean here. Plug spin in. Alright, so now we should be calling the buffer and we should be playing the animation. Now since we're looping, we need to find a way to actually stop the loop. And to do that, we're going to also use the onLanded function. So if we have it, it's been onLanded, so we never actually used it yet, which is nice. Now we're also going to make the same thing we made with the player. So right here, we'll make a branch. And we can actually just copy the functionality from our player. So it's our event graph. Let's copy all of this. Paste that all out. If I can. Paste. Darn it. Does it have to be like this? Copy. There you go. Now we're going to make this a variable. Plug it in on our reset state. Delete that. We can also delete this. Let's move this all up. And the false pin, we call this. And same thing with the player. We're going to do this last part. We don't need some of the variables here, but for now, let's plug this in. Set the movement mode to walking. We can delete that and plug this in. And so here, what we're going to do is set some variables. So inside our get hit reaction montage, we're going to set a variable here called b knockback or b air knockback, just so that we know what animation to play. So here, knockback, check. So our knockback should not have anything on landed. Okay, so here, before we actually do any of this on landed reset, we want to check if we played a specific air hit reaction. So if we did an air hit knockback, which means these should call off the false pin, then we want to play animation montage. So play animation montage. And then we also want to set character movement mode to walking. And then we also want to set this to false. So set this to false, play animation, and then do the rest. Okay, now let's promote this to a variable. Call it HR air knockback on landed. Let's change this because I spelled it wrong. Knock, boom. So here, we're gonna open this up. We're gonna make another anim montage. Call it am_enemy air knockback on landed. And plug this in real quick. Loop, and open this up. And right around where we land, which is right around here, so around 55, so 0.55. I'm going to give this a quadratic blend out, keep everything else the same. Only difference is we're going to add the enemy reset state here. And then we need a get up animation, so let's grab the get up animation. If we have one, which I'm pretty sure we do. These are the execution. Get up. Okay, so once we do that, what we're gonna do is return value. So instead of actually play and a montage, we could do a montage play. So play montage, scale to mesh, get mesh, or is that right? Where do we get anim instance? Oh no, that's right. Okay, play rate. So here, call this. So the second we play it, we set our movement mode to walking, but we don't add the reset state here, or the reset state here. What we're gonna do is actually add the reset state to the get up animation. So let's get the get up animation. Let's open this up. Let's make a animations am underscore enemy get up. In here is where we'll do the reset enemy state. Let's make this 0.3. Give it like quadratic. Everything else can stay the same. So let's plug this in for the enemy. So on the completed, we want to call play animation montage. So when we finish playing the on landed, we want to play the get up animation from so our character can reset our state, as the loop animation does not reset our state. So let's put the start called get up animation, get up montage, I'll get up. Another thing I want to probably change is probably change the speed on this. So when we on landed, yeah, actually that should be fine. So everything should be working now actually. If we land on the ground and we were to get hit, this should already set it to false. Should be still able to take any damage. So yeah, everything should be working. Let's give this a try, see how it looks. After we set our attack to knockback. So in our air, on my third attack, I'm gonna set that to a knockback attack. Let's try. Oh, let's see this. Interesting. So hold on. Let's actually make a notify here. So I'm gonna switch notify, so we don't have to actually make like a whole notify file for this. Let's make a notify here. Let's delete the default one. We can actually just add a notify to the animation montage. So here we're gonna call it reset or get up, because it's blending out before it's actually playing this animation montage, which is not good. So here, let's open this up. Blend out time should be right, and then here, notify, new notify, call it get up, which actually is the wrong one. Should be another skeleton notifies, get up, there it is. So right around here, I don't know, 45, let's drop to 0.2, now that should be better. Or not. Hold your horses. Print string. See if this even gets called. I have a feeling that it's not. Yeah, so it's not even getting called. Okay, so it's not the right one. This is not the right one either. Sorry, I've never really used this, so bear with me as I try to figure out how to get this thing to work. Montage notify, that's the one. There you go. This one should be get up. Right, get up. Oh yeah, it's a capital U, so let's make sure the name is the same. There you go, so that's probably why. It's not even the same thing. So now this should work. Okay, yeah, that's working. Now another thing I want to change probably is going to be exponential out, and the get up animation should be like an exponential in, or it could be an exponential out. Let's do an exponential out as well. It's kind of like fast, almost like it snaps into it a little bit. At least there's a bit of blend. There you go, it's not too bad. Enemy dies. Nothing too much to talk about there. Bam, bam, bam. Gets up. You can still attack him. Still attack them from the ground. Let's test this out one more time. Boom. Nice. So everything seems to be working. And so this marks the end of this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.